Hello everyone, I am Dr. Rogers. Welcome to Physics 241. Here I'm going to walk you through my Canvas shell as well as answer the question, what's up with that syllabus quiz? Well, the answer to that syllabus quiz is inside of this video, and being the kind person that I am, I've kind of sprinkled the questions throughout this video, more or less forcing you to watch the whole thing. There's not much joy in my life. Kidding. Alright, so if we go ahead and click on this, it has the About Your Instructor tab. It's got my email address, which is probably the best way to contact me. If we were to go ahead and click on this link right here, it's going to take you to the course materials page. For the course materials page, here we have University Physics, ISBN, works great on Amazon. Money saving note is you can get by with the previous edition at a fraction of the cost. Physics has not changed, and I don't use the book problems. If you're taking Physics 241 and 242, then it's usually cheaper to buy the previous edition rather than to rent the current edition twice. With that said, here's a link to the bookstore. Other materials, if you Google Shalm's Outline of College Physics, it has a bunch of solved problems, which may be useful as you're going through and solving these problems in my physics class, as well as Khan Academy. Khan Academy is spectacular. I totally forgot all this physics between graduate school and my time at NASA, and Khan Academy helped me relearn a ton of it back to teach to you. Something else that here is a sample lab abstract, and if you click on this guy right here, I've already done so, but it has kind of what I expect you to do for each and every single lab that you do. Please keep it short, less than 250 words. I don't want your life story, and answer these questions in it. One thing I will note is when it comes to sources of error and percent error in the simulation world, which all your labs are simulations, it should be 0%, 1%. If you get an error of more than like 3%, then something bad happened in the lab, and you better be talking to me via email or in the Zoom sessions I'm going to have. So here's kind of a sample abstract where you're trying to determine empirically pi. Typically this would be the first lab that you would do, but I'm going to have you do a slightly different lab. Alright, so with that said, let's hop back to the home page and let's talk a little bit about the class. When I teach this face-to-face, I teach it in a flipped format, and what that means is your homework is to watch my lectures and me solving some problems, and then you come to class and you actually solve the problems, and I go around the room and I more or less get you to the end of the problem set with all of the correct answers and probably the best way to get there. I am a guide by the side rather than a sage by the stage. So here's kind of what this looks like. For a typical class, I have 6 tables with 4 lab groups, or with 4 people per lab group. And what I do is I say, okay, we're on chapter 1. Do you have any questions on problem 1? Do you have any questions? Do you have any questions? Do you have any questions? Then I'll jump to this table. Hey, any questions? I'll jump to this table. Hey, any questions? Jump to this table, jump to this table, jump to this table. And then I'll come back around and I'll say, okay, how are you coming on problem number 2? Hey, do you need a nudge on this? Hey, you might want to check your algebra. And I go around the room, and I go around the room, and I go around the room. And at the end of the day, whenever you're finished with your problem set, then more or less you're free to leave. I'm going to do the same thing via Zoom, and it's going to be the same time we should have class from 1 until 3:50. And I'm going to put you into breakout rooms, and I'm just going to pop into your breakout rooms and just kind of work my way around the room. Hey, any questions? Any questions? Hey, you might want to check your algebra on this, and so on and so forth. So that's how that is going to work out. Now let's talk a little bit about this syllabus quiz here. What I want you to do is I want you to shoot me an email. There's my email address right there. And I want you to answer a couple of different things. You kind of see I have some questions here. I'm not going to give it all away at once, but I'll kind of give you a nugget or two. All right, first of all, I want to know why are you taking Physics 241? And the reason for that is because I will explain something differently to you, whether you're an engineer or whether you're computer science or whether you're an electrical engineer or so on and so forth. So I've kind of, it kind of helps me out. Something else I'd like for you to do is to tell me just a little something about you, just something that maybe helps me put a name to a face, get to know you better, something interesting. Something about me. I like to run. I like to run a lot. I like to run too much. The longest distance that I've done is 100 miles, and I am seriously thinking about doing a 200-mile race this year. That's a little nugget about me. I'm the crazy running professor. All right, let's hop back to the home page here. And this is going to get crossed out pretty soon. All right, this is super duper important. Make sure that you can see these links. These links are to my lectures. I had one student one time that could not see these links on either his phone or on his PC, and I was able to just email them to him. Hi Jacob, how's it going? All right, let's go ahead and click on one of these guys, shall we? Okay, chapter 1. Chapter 1 is easy, and I'm going to cross this out. That's not going to be there. Chapter 1 is all about units and accuracy and vectors and fun stuff like that. It should be a review for most of you, but don't let that make you think this class is easy. I've broken my lecture up into 2 sections. If I were to click on this guy right here, you see about a 10-11 minute video. I highly recommend that you go ahead and you change your playback speed to 2x, and that way I go a little bit faster and you can pause it and take notes for roughly the same amount of time. So in the background you can kind of see I'm going to be talking about Chapter 1 here. If you want these slides for this guy, if you scroll on down just a little bit, then if you click on this guy right here, then you're going to see the slides for this guy. So boom, there are the slides for this guys. Print them out and take notes. What I've found is people that take notes do far better. Here I've broken this up into Chapter 2, kind of a logical breaking point in the chapter. That way you can, take a break, dunk your head in ice water, something along those lines. And what I also have is I have some work problems, which is kind of like watching me work a problem on the board. So if I were to go ahead and make this guy bigger, you can kind of see that here I am going to be doing some unit conversions, and I'm going to be kind of working you through these guys. Now, I recommend to you that you watch these guys, but if you want to get the most out of it, I recommend that you print these guys out and give them a go before you watch my solutions to them. Where can you find these guys? Excellent question. If you click on this guy right here, Lecture Outline Problems, then it's going to pop open a download. And if I open this guy right here, boom, here I have question, here I have a question, here I have a question, and so on and so forth. I also have a sample dot product and cross product calculations if you choose to view them. Actually, I highly recommend that you do. Also on Chapter 1, I have 2 flavors of homework. I have easy problems and lecture problems. In the face-to-face setting, what I would do is I would say, okay, we'll go home, watch my videos, and bring to me the easy problems before class is due. These problems are relatively easy, they're relatively straightforward, and they usually plug and chug. So before the Zoom session, please do the easy problems, and that way we can just check those off and you'll be good to go. The lecture problems tend to be harder, and people tend to need nudges on these guys. All I need to do is to click on this guy, as I can go ahead and I can download it. And what you can see is okay, problem with some vectors, adding some vectors, and I'm doing some unit conversions. You can write on this however you want. If you have a tablet or an iPad or something like that, spectacular. Submit to me a PDF. If you prefer to do the old-fashioned route, you can print this thing out and you can take some pictures. I will ask that you please do submit a single PDF if there's more than one page. Use something like Cam Scanner or something like that to submit just a single document. It makes my life a ton easier. How do you submit these things? Pretty straightforward. If you go up here to Submit Assignment, and what you can do is you can go choose File, and I'll just submit something that is blank. And then I can go ahead and click on the Submit Assignment, and we should see some confetti and stuff like that falling. Boom. So my assignment has been submitted. Now, what I'll do on my end is I will go ahead into Canvas on my iPad, which is conveniently down right now, and I will scribble any notes or hints or something like that on this guy. And if you were to click on Submission Details, then you should see kind of what you submitted as well as my scribbles. You can submit your easy problems, your lecture problems, your labs as many times as you want, as long as you submit it by the deadline. I want you to get a 4 out of 4 on the easy problems. I want you to get a 10 out of 10 on the lecture problems. Now, you can also find these guys in the Syllabus tab. And if we were to say, hey, look, here's the easy problems for chapters 1, 2, and 3, and here are the lecture problems. Let me go ahead and click on the lecture problems just to kind of give you a feeling for these guys. Here I have lecture problems, and here I have the solutions to them. Now, I will not accept late work because if you click on this guy, you can kind of see, okay, he's going to show me his solutions just after the due date. So I will not accept late work for that reason. Oops, go ahead and click on the Syllabus tab here. So let me go ahead and click on these lecture problems really quick, and you can see that they're going to be a little bit more challenging than the easy problems. It should be like 2 pages for these guys right here. And here we have some unit conversions, and then we have a vector problem, dot products and cross products and fun stuff like that. At the end of the day, I want you to get a 10 out of 10 on this, and I will get you through all 7 of these problems. Whenever you have done with these problems, then you can leave the Zoom session that we're going to have from 1 until 3:50, or if you prefer to work on them and just kind of submit them ahead of time on your own, then you can do that too. It depends on if you're like a lone wolf type of person. I am fine with either one. Let me just really quick go back to the home page and highlight one more important thing before I go into the syllabus tab again, and this is going to be the sample test and solutions. Test number 1 is going to cover chapters 1 through 5, test number 2, test number 3, and test number 4. Note that the test number 4 is not cumulative, it only covers chapters 17 through 20. When it comes to the test, I have created a sample test that I made side by side with the real test. I also have solutions for this. My advice to you is to go ahead and print this guy out and then give yourself 3 hours to solve it and then take a look at my solutions. It is so easy to just go ahead and take a look at my solutions and be like, oh yeah, I got this, I got this, I got this. But if you see a problem where you see a dot product and a cross product, there's a really good chance there's going to be a dot product and a cross product on the real test. If you see a problem with some acceleration and using some equations of motion, there's a really good chance you're going to see a problem very similar to it on the test. Here we have a free fall problem. Here we have a projectile problem. Really good chance you're going to see free fall and projectile problems on the test. And so here I have all my solutions to these guys. Again, use it however you want. I've just kind of shown you the way that I would personally use them. When it comes to the tests, we will take those at the regular place and time, Monday, or either a Monday or Wednesday from 1 until 3:50. Exact details for the tests, well, the university is doing something similar to Lockdown Browser, and I will figure that out before we get to the actual test. All right, let's go ahead and talk about the syllabus tab really quickly. If I were to take a look at this, it kind of shows you when everything is. Here I have a Zoom session from 3 to 4 today, and that's just kind of to show you what it should look like. Here, this is due. On this day right here, chapters 1 through 3 are due, and then there's going to be the test. And then this day right here, we have these 4 chapters due, and here we have these 2 guys due, and here we have those guys due. So let's go ahead and pop into the syllabus. The syllabus is pretty straightforward. First of all, it says, we're going to use the standard VCCS description. We're going to learn about mechanics in Physics 241 and then electricity and magnetism in Physics 242. You do have to be taking calculus at the same time. If you drop out of calculus, you have to drop my class too. All right, basic objectives, problem solving. That's what this class is all about. Teaching methods, I use the flipped classroom, and I'll tell you a little bit about how I learn physics, and about why I am a advocate for the flipped classroom. The way that I personally learned physics is the professor went blah, 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 blah. I, flicked spitballs at my buddy and, didn't really pay attention to him, made fun of him, as you all do to me. And then he would assign this heap of homework. I'd go home, I'd beat my head up against it. I'd eventually go into his or her office, I'd get some help. I'd go back, beat my head against the desk, go back to the office, and so on and so forth. At the end of the day, I'd kind of slip my paper in at the bottom of the pile and kind of hope for a good grade. Now, that's not how I teach physics. The way I teach physics is you watch my lectures, that's the boring part, and then you come to class, and I make sure that you get a 10 out of 10, and I make sure you understand why you're doing what you're doing. Bear in mind that you have to be willing to accept that you're going to make problems, everyone does, and you have to realize that the only way you're going to get better at anything, whether it's physics or playing basketball or football or running, is to go out and actually do it. So the best way to get good at solving problems is to actually solve problems. All right, best way to get in touch with me, I'm going to be having Zoom sessions and shooting me an email. I will probably schedule a Friday Zoom session, and I will get back to emails probably on Tuesdays and Thursdays afternoons, as well as grading stuff in Canvas. I haven't set up firm dates and times for that, but I will. All right, textbook, already showed you that. For the labs, I will show you exactly where to find them and where to submit them. I do not accept late work. Homeworks, we have easy problems and lecture problems. Pretty straightforward. Note that I will not accept them when they're late, since my solutions kind of appear on Canvas. We have 4 tests scattered throughout the semester, and you can use a note card. You do have to say, hey, the test is me and no one's helping me. All right, attendance. Try to show up to those Zoom sessions. I'm not going to be sitting there with a clipboard saying, Johnny so-so hasn't been here, but if you don't show up for a couple of them, I'm probably going to shoot you an email. Be nice to my equipment if we actually meet face-to-face at some point in the school year. Be nice to each other and don't cheat. All right, here's the breakdown of the points in the semester, and you can see tests, labs, lectures, easy problems, and so on and so forth. All right, how much time does this class actually take? This is the highest level of physics that is offered here, and it is probably, in my opinion, one of the more difficult classes offered at LFCC. We should meet 6 hours face-to-face, and the rule of thumb is you should be spending about 6 hours outside of class working on physics. Here's how I suggest your time. Spend about an hour or so watching the lecture videos. Make sure you take notes. You really learn things when you write things down. You should spend an hour on the solved problems videos. If you're spending more than an hour on the easy problems, you better be talking to me. And then after every single class, go home, take the lecture problems, print them out, and go ahead and resolve those guys. That will let you know whether you actually got it or whether you need to work on it just a little bit more. If you got the disability form, get that to me as soon as possible, and we will make things work for you. All right, let's talk really quickly about the schedule here. And what I'm doing things a little bit differently now than I would when we were doing face-to-face. Essentially, what I would normally do is we would do lecture, lab, lecture, lab, lecture, lab, and be like week 1, week 2, week 3. But since we're online, I decided to give you a little bit more freedom, but potentially enough room to hang yourself. You can work on chapters 1, 2, and 3 at your leisure. I will talk to you about any of those chapters on the Zoom sessions that you want to, or any of the labs that you're going to be working on. But the hard due date for chapters 1, 2, and 3 lecture problems is September 2nd. The hard due date for the labs is September 2nd. And the hard due date for the easy problems is September 2nd. Do not wait until September 1st to start working on these. That would be very bad time management on your part, and I probably wouldn't be able to get back to you in the timely manner that you needed. Same is true for September 16th. Do not wait until September 15th to start working on chapters 4 and 5. And actually, I want to put a little disclaimer out there. Chapters 4 and 5 are the hardest ones of Physics 241. Chapters 6, 7, and 8 are also no picnic. You will definitely need every single Zoom session between September 2nd and September 16th to work your way through these, unless you're like freakishly talented. So test number 1 is right here. Test number 2 is this block of stuff right there. Chapters 9, big due date, and then test. And then the last test is just chapters 17 through 20. Bear in mind that test number 4 is not cumulative. All right, so let's go ahead and pop back to the syllabus tab. And again, you can kind of see this big due date block right here, this big due date block. I don't have the tests in here yet because we're still kind of figuring that out. Big block right here and big block right here. Let me talk really quickly about the labs, but actually before I do that, let me pop back to my little syllabus quiz. Answer this question. You should know by now, does Dr. Rogers accept late work? And can you see the lecture links? And again, I'm talking to you, Jacob. One more question to ask, and I'll hold off on that guy until later in the video. All right, for the Zoom links, you can either see them in the syllabus tab, or if you go over here to Zoom sessions, you can kind of see that I haven't set any of them up except for this test one today. I'm recording this at 2:50, and this one is set up for 3 p.m., so I can go ahead and I can click on the join button, and it's not going to let me join because, well, I haven't opened it yet. All right. Let me, last but not least, talk really quickly about the labs. The labs are pretty straightforward. They are all simulations. And if I were to click on this guy right here, it's a lab on graphing. And what you can do is you can go ahead and you can click on this guy right here. And it's going to more or less walk you through it. Again, any lab that you do is going to need to have an abstract either attached with it or tacked onto the front of it. So when you go ahead and you click on the submit assignment thing, please do submit an abstract or you're going to get it back and you're going to see my little scribble on there. Please resubmit with an abstract. Again, you can submit these as many times as you want. So if I were to open this guy right here, you can kind of see here's a simulation. This is actually a Java simulation, which is kind of iffy. So actually this link seems to work just a little bit better. And it should be able to open this guy up. Now, what you need to do is you need to answer everything as fully as you can. So we can go ahead and we can, see, we're interested in the charts of this guy. And we can just go ahead and we can make this guy move back and forth. And I just want you to think about what this looks like graphically. Now, if I were to come back to this lab, you can kind of see it says, sketch what you think. You can draw on this any number of ways. If you have just a pad or something like that, then you definitely know how to do it. If you want to work in Word, then you have these little guys right here. This is not working on mine just right now, but it does work. You can also go ahead and print these guys out and take a picture if you want. Whenever you type, that's why I wouldn't really do it. Wouldn't let me do editing. There we go. So you can draw on these guys, kind of as such. Whenever you put some reasoning in here, then you can put it in as such. Please, please, please do make it either a different color or make it yellow, so that way I can actually see it. It just kind of helps me. Anytime you see like explain, determine, show your work, something like that, I'm looking for ink on the page, and I will ding you on that. So again, I'm looking for text right here. You can kind of see that he expects some text. He expects some text here, and so on and so forth. Here you see the words write a possible scenario, and so you're going to go ahead and put some text right there explaining this, and then sketch it. So I'm expecting to see some drawing on these guys right here. Again, whenever you finish with any lab, you do need to submit an abstract with it, and I showed you where to find that at an earlier point. All right, I think that brings us up to speed. That's essentially what you need to know in a nutshell. If you have any questions, please do shoot me an email. Speaking of shooting me an email, the very last thing that I need to know is do you want a breakout room to yourself? Or I know that you all know each other because you're taking lots of engineering classes together usually. If you want to be in a breakout room with more than one person, who do you want to be grouped together with? With that said, I look forward to seeing you all soon. Take care. Bye.